As I was asking Spirit for my birthday blessing, Spirit gave me the scripture. And this scripture also pertains to me and to all of those that are upon this path of spiritual growth and unfoldment. The scripture is Acts 22, that's chapter 22, 6 through the 11th verse. Now I want to ask you this, just to confirm how Spirit works. The last two digits of this year is 22. That's Acts chapter 22. The verses that was given to me, 6/11. It's my birthday. 6th month of June, 11th birthday, the year 22. It's a confirmation. And Acts 22 talks about the transformation of Saul to Paul. And so verse 22, or chapter 22, 6 through the 11th verse. And it came to pass that as I made my journey and was come nigh unto Damascus about noon, suddenly there shone from heaven a great light around me, and I fell unto the ground, and I heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And I answered, Who art thou, Lord? And he said unto me, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom thou persecutest. And they that were with me saw indeed the light, and were afraid. But they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. And I said, What shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said unto me, Arise and go into Damascus, and there it shall be told thee of all things which are appointed for thee to do. And when I could not see for the glory of that light, being led by the hand of them that were with me, I came into Damascus. And thus is the scripture reading of Acts 22, verses 6 through 11. The birthday for me this year. Blessings to you. Acts speaks about the transformation of Saul. On the road to Damascus, he met this light met him, and the light was so bright that it blinded Saul. He could not see, according to scripture. He had to be led by those that was with him. Scripture also states that those that were with him also saw the light, but they did not hear the voice. Now, let me say something to you. As I said, this talk is about me and a little bit about you. That's a joke. It's all about all of us. It's all about the transformation that is taking place and will take place within us. When I came to understand the light, it was many, many years ago on my job that a young man walked, well, not a young man, but an older man walked up to me and he said, Mr. Jackson, he said, when I look around, when I look at you, I see a light around you. And he said that when you're walking, that light seems to be glowing. And he said to me, or he asked me, what is it? And me not knowing or understanding, I said to him, I do not know. Many years later, I came to know and to understand that there is a light within each and every one of us. When we turn towards truth, when we turn toward the understanding of life, life is the light within us. Truth is the light within us. And when we have ignited that light, when we have sought to understand the truth within us, we begin to shine. Now, let us get a much deeper understanding of this light. If you look in the mirror, you will not see it. If you go outside in the summertime or in the springtime when the sun is high in the sky, not a cloud, and if you look up at that sun directly, you can only do it for a few seconds before you will have to turn away from it. And when you turn away from it, you will notice that for a small period of time, your vision is blurred. Takes you a second or two to get your vision back where you can see. This is not the light that met Paul on the road to Damascus. It was not the sunlight that was blinding Saul. It was the light of life. And this light, or the glory of this light, was within him. The glory and the brightness of this light was within him. And it was this inner vision, because Damascus represents, it is a state of consciousness that is found upon the material concept of life. And in the body, it represents a desire for sensation, which in time, sensation burns up the cells and the tissues of the organism. This light that Saul experienced on the road to Damascus, in that state of material consciousness, the light was so blinding that it transformed the darkness and the shadows within the consciousness of Saul. Now we must understand and know that Saul was a religious man, but his understanding of spiritual truth was not present. And so when the light came, it blinded him of his sense consciousness. He couldn't see the things that he was so accustomed to, no longer visible to him. The light of enlightenment had come to Saul. He was transformed into a higher state of consciousness. Saul became Paul. Now, in my meditations, when I lead the guiding meditations, you always hear me say, visualize and see a light at the crown of your head as bright as 10,000 suns. And the light of 10,000 suns is not to blind your physical eyes, but it is the light that will illuminate your consciousness, every fiber of your being, and the light that will consume the darkness and the shadows within you. The light of 10,000 suns is almost equal to what appeared to Saul on the road to Damascus. But when we visualize and see the brightness of this light within us, to the very best of our ability, we might not be able to see it in its fullness, but we have to know that the light is working within us, because the light within us is the light of life. It illuminates every fiber of our being. And you hear me say in meditation, the affirmation, the declaration, speaking with authority, I am the light of God's consciousness, manifesting and expressing in and through this physical body now. The light that appeared to Paul or Saul on the road to Damascus is that same light that is illuminating every fiber of our being. You might not behold the brightness of this light, but the more you affirm it, the more you believe that you are the light, manifesting and expressing in and through a physical body, that light will begin to shine. It will begin to radiate and illuminate every fiber of your being. And those that come into your consciousness or into your presence will be able to sense or feel something about you. And when they speak to you about how they feel in being in your presence, then you will know that that which they feel, that which they sense, is the light of the Christ or the God consciousness within you. Now, those of you that understand Saul's purpose and mission in the beginning was to pursue the Christians, lock them up. We don't know how many Christians Saul was responsible for their demise. But Paul was on a mission to wipe out the Christians, to wipe out truth, to stamp out the light. But Paul was not able. Paul or Saul was not greater than the light of life. And so when the light shined down upon Saul and brought about the transformation within him, The voice spoke to Saul and said, arise and go into Damascus, and there shall be told of thee all things which are appointed for thee to do. The transformation of the light on Saul changed him. He became Paul, and Paul was anointed. He had been appointed to do the work of the light or of the consciousness of God within him. When we walk upon this path, regardless of who you are, where you are, when you open wide your mind and your heart to truth, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you are experiencing that seems to be causing problems and difficulties and challenges, the light will always make a way. The light of God's consciousness spirit within you will always make a way. And we have to maintain, we have to sustain the faith and the trust and the truth and go forward, not in a state of fear, but with courage, with determination, with the knowingness that all things worketh for our highest good and for the highest good of all concerned. You've heard me say many times, I stand as a living witness to the transformation. I understand what took place in Saul, because what took place in Saul also took place within me. The light hit me. And as I shared with you some time ago, many years ago, many years ago, when I wanted to be a famous singer and go to Hollywood and get some Grammys and all those other things, I met a man. He was an astrologist. And he said to me, I know you want to be famous. You want to go to Hollywood and you want to strum your guitars and things like this. But he said, that's not for you. And I will share with you his exact words to me. He said, one day, the light is going to grab you and turn your every way but loose. And truly, the light has grabbed me, and it will not let me go. It has pointed me in the direction and kept me steadfast upon the path of spiritual growth and unfoldment. And so I share with you this day, continue to affirm that I am the light of life. You are. And the light of life within you will reveal the deeper mysteries of life. Open wide the doors of opportunities, and the light of life will heal whatever ailments and illnesses and sicknesses that you have within your physical body. The negative energies and vibrations cannot dwell where there is life and light. I'm grateful and thankful for the blessings that the light has bestowed upon me. I'm grateful and thankful for the light and its blessings upon all of you. As you continue this path of spiritual growth and unfoldment, affirm the truth of your being. Look not to the outer world for your good is right there within you. God bless you. Namaste.